Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a Gran Soli Minimum update Thursday, March 21st. First day of spring, springing into it with C flares kicking off from the sun at the bottom of solar cycle 24. We're experiencing an epic uptick on our star C4, C followed by C5 just hours ago. And these CMEs are headed right to you. Care of Sunspot 2736, AR12 736, Beta DAC, C flare percentage at 55% currently, M flare 15%. This may not be over, folks, but luckily the spot is turning around from the limb. Way over here now. And it's in 2 days will be gone. But both of these C flares are headed towards Earth on the 23rd. The powers that be are predicting KP6 max, G2 geomagnetic storm. If this gets up to G3, the grid will begin to fry. And we'll learn from this event. Small areas will have perturbations, maybe air traffic, cell phones, other services. We'll wait and see. It depends on where it hits and what's facing the sun at that time. A new sunspot group number 2736 formed rapidly in the northwest quadrant during the past 24 hours and is now producing minor B class and C solar flares. The largest thus far is a C4.8 at 1118 UTC. A coronal mass ejection was associated with the event and may have a weak Earth-directed component. We need to analyze the data. Here it comes. Boom! Holy macaroni! The first day of spring is here with a boom! Here's what you should know about the spring equinox. You should know how to find my links and look down below. Cherry blossoms are coming. Keep calm. It's boom time. Hey, and for you fat diabetic snowflakes that don't know how to grow food, I'm sorry. First day of spring in LA brings hail plus flooding that shuts the major freeway. One local police department noted that officers to the south saw the sun, while those to the north were dealing with hail and torrential rain. That looks beautiful. Except when the tsunami comes. We'll get to that. We're going to be covering tsunami threat in a moment. Potential bomb cyclone eyes the northeast with rain, flooding, and heavy spring snow. Ho, ho, ho! Santa's not done with your ass. Not for a minute. Is there volume?
It was the wettest on record, fueled by relentless snow and rain across the country. NOAA reporting that the winter precipitation total was 2.2 inches higher than average, reaching 9.01 inches. In the west, the snowpack in places like the Sierra Nevada mountains was above normal. In California, rivers rose well above flood stage. Even Las Vegas got in on the action, seeing measurable snow for the first time in over a decade. Across the Midwest and Northeast, the polar vortex sent temperatures plummeting well below zero, with some areas seeing temperatures 50 below or colder. Multiple snowstorms traveled across the country, bringing travel to a standstill as flights were canceled and roads became treacherous. And in the plains and Midwest, a bomb cyclone dropped heavy snow and triggered dangerous flooding across multiple states. For the latest in weather...
Boom! Must be global warming. Yeah, a storm forecast to undergo rapid strengthening will bring drenching rain, coastal flooding, and heavy interior snow to parts of the Northeast. May become a bomb. The next bomb cyclone, which is a boom to affect the United States to end the week. In order for strengthening storm to be dubbed a bomb cyclone, the barometric pressure at the center of the storm must plummet 0.71 of an inch of mercury. That's 24 millibars in 24 hours. And then you got a boom. Or a bomb. This storm may reach that criteria as it moves northward and intensifies from Thursday evening near the Delmarva. And as space weather is coming in, we can expect a boom! Shut up, Al! He doesn't like his new hole in our new studio. The storm is not expected to approach the strength and size of the massive bomb cyclone that hit the central states last week. But it may be a tweak. Here's your wet Thursday, urban and coastal flooding in the mid-Atlantic, travel delays, haze, all the way from North Kakalaki, all the way up through the Northeast. New York is the bullseye. Rain will continue to develop and become heavier as it pushes northward along the Interstate 95 corridor. All the snow that remains will melt away. Hey, hey, and even through many of the northeastern and western suburbs of D.C., Baltimore, Philly, New York. Could be a wet one. Major flooding is not expected from eastern Virginia to Massachusetts and southeastern New Hampshire. Although enough rain may fall to give you a little boom. Little tippy touch. Snowstorm Friday through Saturday, Syracuse through Quebec City. Expect whiteouts, difficult travel, increasing windy power outages, turning much colder. 6 to 24 inches in some areas. Local storm max of 16 inches is forecast in the DAX. Holy! They must be smoking cracks. There's the bullseyes, dark blue. It's like a finger pointing down right at you through Vermont. Heads up! The thumb's in New Hampshire. And there's a little ball of poo up here in the Adirondacks. Heavy snow is in the store for the townships of Quebec, northwestern New Brunswick, as a general of 6 to 12 inches. That's 15 to 30 centimeters for all you metricians. It's forecast Friday to Saturday, which will be your shatter day if you're in Pagosa. 20% off shatter. Further southwest, marginal temperatures will allow a combination of wet, rain, snow, and other crap that will make you totally pissed if you're in the Alleghenies. And then flooding on the flanks. Heads up! I live here. Severe weather alerts happening now. Holy winter storm warning remains in effect from 6 a.m. Thursday to 6 a.m. Friday above 8,500 feet. What? Heavy snow at Oppenheimer Ranch. Total snow accumulations of 8 to 16 inches with locally higher amounts expected. Wind gusts to 35 are expected near blizzard conditions. This will bring us above 500 inches annually as we approach record levels for 50 years. Thanks, Al, for your amazing prediction that we'd never see snow. The waters are rising. It's climate change. Don't you know it? It was supposed to make us never get rain and droughts and we're all going to burn up. But now it's record snow and record rain, all because of global warming. Do these people even listen to themselves? We're taxing you. That's how we're going to save you. More taxes will save your axes. It's probably over for us. Record flooding pummels Midwest when farmers can least afford it. This has been predicted. We've been predicting this for years. As agriculture fails, prices will increase. You'll be priced out of proper prior planning, and you'll be prevented from piss poor performance because you won't afford it. You can't afford it. The Ruzicka family farm in Verdigre, Nebraska, on Monday, farmers across Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota say it ain't so to have lost livestock, livelihoods, record flooding, pummeling the area. The record floods that have pummeled the Midwest are inflicting a devastating toll on farmers, ranchers, and at the moment, we watched cows get sucked into the river and drowned. I don't want to show that to you. It's raising fears that this natural disaster will become a breaking point for thousands of farms weighed down by falling incomes, corporate interest just destroying your food, and the fallout from President Trump's trade policies. When you're losing money to start with, how do you take on extra losses? Asked Clint Pischel, 23, of Niobrara, Nebraska, whose lowland fields were flooded by the ice-filled Niobrara River after a dam failed. He spent Monday gathering 30 dead baby calves from his family's ranch in this northern region of the state, finding their bodies under huge chunks of ice. There's no harder business to be in during the grand solar minimum, Mr. Pischel added. But with death and everything else, you got to answer to the bankers, who are totally wankers. And also stankers. Midwest flooding could result in more than $1 billion of losses for farmers. That is 1,000 million. You don't even know what that is. That's 1,000 groups of money that you've never even seen. 1,000 of them. Boom. Gone. Flooding across the Midwest could result in more than $1 billion worth of dollars that you've never even seen. For farmers, ranchers, And even my Aunt Blanche's. Accumulating snow expected Friday through New York. The first spring snow of the season expected to fall on Friday. After Al Gore said we'd never see it. Ho! 6 to 12 and 5 to 10. Oneonta through Old Forge. If you're west of Albany, ho! You need a shovel. And that's in spring. Alabama records 37 tornadoes before 2019. And that's before boom time begins. Boom time's April, folks. We should be seeing these numbers in April, and it's early. What are we going to see? 3,000? 300 twistas? We say it often. Severe weather can occur at any time in Alabama. But this is a slammer. And April is boom time in Bama. Heads up. GFS model showing heavy snow and a spring pummeling of Quebec and Ontario. First week of spring, Puxatawny Phil will be buried. New York State is the winner in the U.S. for the most snow, other than Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine and all of Ontario and Quebec. We're getting 16 put on the ground here. That's that little blue dot down in the southwest. Boom! It just comes. 3 days. Boom! It's right there. That's it. Utah, Nevada, the Sierras. More snow piling up. There's third day of spring. Ting, ting! It will not end. It's moving through the Midwest, up through Ontario, the grain regions. Crop loss much? When have you seen snow? April 1st in West Virginia. When? I ask you. Last year. Ongoing historic flooding. Rain and snow for the Northeast and Northwest late this week. Relatively dry weather is expected in the next few days across the plains, but that will not stop the flooding threat. These melting waters take days to move downstream. Our midday warming here, just 6 miles upstream, takes 12 hours to get here. So the river crests at midnight in Pagosa every day from the warming during the day. That's just 6 miles. So imagine if you're 600 miles away. It's going to take 30 days to get to you. This is all moving south. This map is going to continue to stay green and light up all the way down the Mississippi Valley for weeks. We're going to see record flooding south of the Quad Cities. And we're going to be reporting on it. Winter storm warnings and watches in Nevada, Utah, and Colorado currently, as well as northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire. It's coming. It's coming for you. For the Northeast, coastal low will develop Thursday into Friday, bringing rain and snow locally heavy from the mid-Atlantic to the Northeast. Now we have space weather entering the picture in the next 2 days. Strong, potentially damaging bomb cyclone will explode if this space weather arrives at the exact time it's hitting the Northeast. So heads up to that. You can see record snow totals never seen before, ever in history. And the flooding is not a mystery. I was working with one of our subscribers in Iowa who is going out to a global warming alarmist nonsense nonprofit thing where they were force-fed a flyer in some public venue. And they said, I don't believe your shit. I don't believe in CO2 is caused by man. And 95% of all CO2 is emanated from the ocean. Did you know that? No, because you're a climate change brainwashed alarmist and you don't know anything about science. You repeat statements from the mass media. We call you sheeple. So they reached out to me for some information and I gave it to them. It's not hard, it's simple. You just print out the daily sunspot average over individual solar rotations for the last few hundred years. And you ask them, when was all the record flooding? Now, because we're in the solar minimum. The bottom, it's this week. The big earthquake's coming in 7 to 14 days. It's happening now. The solar polar fields are reversing and we are going to come back out of this minimum in another year and a half. Into cycle 25. Fact. And the record flooding in the same areas that's having record flooding right now happen in, yeah, you guessed it. 2010, 2009, 2008. How about 1993? See this white line that comes all the way down? Major flooding in the Quad Cities. 1996. 1998, these are all flooding dates. 1988. 1975. 1966, all major floods in the Mississippi, Ohio, Nebraska. How about 1954? Big flood year. How about 43 and 44 and 45? It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the sun. Nothing to do with you. Man, the CO2 that humans add into the atmosphere has nothing to do with climate. When 95% is being relegated by our oceans. How can our 0.0, we don't even add anything. It's so insane that the billions of people believe this fairy tale. It's as if the whole planet believes that pink elephants are flying in the clouds and they're farting clouds out. Same shit. You are here. It's down from here. Cosmic rays will continue to increase. Rainfall totals, snowfall totals will continue to increase. Wait until the high temperatures this summer. It's going to remain cold and wet, and then all of a sudden it's going to be 100. No one can grow anything in these conditions. This is history repeating itself. Just like the Centennial Minimum, just like the Dalton Minimum, just like the Maunder Minimum, and just like the Dark Ages. Everything is controlled by the universe, our cosmos. And we've got sea flares headed this way that are going to energize storms and blow your mind. And maybe blow up some transformers. That's a C5 at solar minimum. Magnetosphere, shields down, coming our way. Sunspot 2736 is active. We're going to monitor it. Any new developments? We'll have breaking updates. You're looking at the last 48 hours. It's been quiet. There's March 18th. Here's the 19th. And then all of a sudden, a new sunspot develops. And it's boom time. And that debris is a small taste of things to come. With ferry woes, stocking Labrador shelves was easier 40 years ago, says store owner. Now, this woman's been here for 4 decades. There's more ice, and it's more difficult to get to these regions. What say you, global warming alarmists? I hear crickets. Seismic update. The big one's coming. 6.3 today in Vanuatu. Mid-ocean ridge is spreading. The Earth is increasing in size, and more energy is coming. March 23rd. Mark my words. You will remember that day. Worldwide volcano news update. Everybody's blowing. Bromo, Stromboli, Ducono, Reventador, Planchon Petaroa, Sabancaya, Manam. Sporadic puffs to 27,000 feet at Sabancaya. Stromboli has reduced activity and they're letting people get close to there. Remember my prediction a year and a half ago. Tourists will die. Ducono, continuous ash, 7,000 feet. Planchon Petaroa, 14,000 feet. Explosive activity continuing. Manam has new emissions. And Bromo is waking up. We keep an eye on it for you, so you don't have to. All the links are below. Guys, if you don't know how to find these links, please ask someone. Here's Glacier Peak, 70 miles from Seattle. High on the USGS survey list of dangerous volcanoes. Glacier erupts every grand solar minimum, erupting 210 years ago, approximately, during the Dalton. The Omnibus Lands Bill provides $55 million for volcano monitoring. And now Washington's volcano warning system got a boost. $55 million worth. But it's unclear how much high risk Washington and Oregon will get. Well, I can tell you that Washington and Oregon had 7 volcanoes erupting 200 years ago during the Dalton minimum. Because cosmic rays induce siliceous-rich stratocone volcanoes to explode. That's all of the Cascadia region All the way through California, all the way down to Long Valley. All of them. All the way up through British Columbia, all the way up through Alaska. Boom, 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 boom. Cosmic rays cause the booms, and now we have 55 million to warn you that you're about to die. And the flesh will fall from your bones, just like in this video footage from Popo. Say it ain't so-so. Mexico's Popo we shared the other night, sending plumes of ash into the night sky after strong explosions. Big booms. Boom! Holy shit. Let's blow this up. Do it, Dad. Gorgeous footage. Gorgeous footage. Come check it out. Located on the outskirts of Mexico City, Popo's explosion took place at 9:30 p.m. local time. There were no serious injuries, but this is an ongoing uptick that we've been reporting on. At any moment, Popo could blow and affect millions. Millions of people live on the flanks of that volcano. Now let's talk about the underappreciated threat of volcanic tsunamis. We've been talking about them exclusively on our channel from the very rip. We're talking about the Helena slump at Kilauea that could slump into the Pacific and kill everyone on the coast. We've talked about Mount Etna's threat to everyone in the Mediterranean. We've done the most severe Canary Island simulations, which would literally kill everyone on the East Coast in 6 hours. No one would get out. 100-foot high wave would wash across all of Florida. Can you imagine all the people and the stench days later? Tsunamis caused by volcanoes are responsible for nearly a quarter of all deaths caused by eruptions. It's not the lava, kids. It's the wave. Yet we have now only started to understand them. I disagree. We've known about this threat for decades. I come from the early 90s in geology, and we knew about the threat of Canary Islands and Helena Slump and Mount Etna and everything. So they're lying to you. We've known about this threat. We're now just talking about it because it's coming. It's been just over 2 months since Anak Krakatau, the young volcano growing from the ruins of Indonesia's famous Krakatoa, sent a devastating tsunami sweeping the shores of the Sunda Strait. After a brief lull, eruptive activity resumed mid-February. The Indonesian government has warned fishermen to remain 5 kilometers away from the seething island. Fishermen will live. Tsunamis go right by boats. People on the coast are going to die. This is just a stupid article with no information. It's a fluff piece to warn you of the oncoming threat that we've known about for decades. This is not new information. This is being presented as new. Did you know that kale just rejoined the Dirty Dozen? Dow Jones Futures, the market will crash in the morning. Here we're looking at it. This is live. One of the most contaminated with pesticides. Kale. Do you know how easy kale is to grow? Buy kale seeds if you're listening to me and you feel like an idiot that hasn't done anything. Spend $2 at the store, buy some kale seeds, throw them in the dirt, and water them. And it's a wrap. You'll have kale all year with no pesticides and more nutrients than you've ever eaten in your entire life. Stop going to McDonald's. And Chick-fil-A is not better than McDonald's. Neither is Wendy's. Dirty Dozen 2019 lists and ranks fruits, vegetables with the most pesticides. Kale! The first 3, strawberries, spinach, and kale. The other dirty foods are cherries and nectarines. If you're not buying organic, Do not eat these foods. You might as well just drink gasoline. You know, with like a Drano chaser. Researchers warn consuming pesticides have been linked to health issues, including cancer and fertility. Really? Get out of Dodge. That's probably pseudoscience, because it's facts. You want to learn more pseudoscience? Look at this guy. What is he going for? Like gay Putin? Please get a shirt that fits. No one thinks you're sexy. Look at the bags under his eyes. That's a bag and a bag and a bag. That's a triple right eye bag and like some kind of weird other double sphincter bag over here with a dinosaur in the background. The gay author and queer scientist with triple bag, double bag, has returned to his roots as the curator at a museum. We're talking about Tim Flannery. Now, here's the funny thing about this article. Tim Flannery's claim to fame is he's a scientist, a biologist, who has discovered over 30 new species. And in the same article, Flannery, who's named for more than 30 new mammals over his career, is now claiming that species loss is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Not only did I discover 30 new species in my life, but we're all dying. What an oxymoronic idiot piece. If you can read this and believe it, my God. It makes no sense. The guy who discovered 30 new species is now claiming that all the species are dying. Let's talk about facts. Australia. Prime Minister, advisor, says climate change is a UN-led ruse to establish a new world order. Globalist much? I love that guy. I wish he was my grandfather. Tony Abbott's business advisor says global warming is a fallacy supported by the United Nations to create a new authoritarian world order under its control. Wow, this is just getting out? Probably the most factual article ever written, in my humble opinion, which is barely humble. Did you hear about the $2.6 million worth of missing military equipment in my county? Yeah, there's like barely 30,000 people that live in thousands of square miles, and they apparently sent us a bunch of tanks, grenade launchers, and other stuff for our 2,600 citizens in Pagosa, and it's missing. Nobody knows where it is. I can tell you that our sheriff's department is corrupt. The guy that just ran and won used to be a cocaine dealer. They used to call him Snowplow. No names here. That's how government works. A corrupt bunch of corrupt assholes suck each other's, and they're all just a bunch of schmucks. Steve Wadley especially. I'm going to call that schmuck out. Hey, Steve, if you're listening, go fuck yourself. With or without icebreaker, Quijat can't get through, says Coast Guard. Wow, that sounds like Labrador not being able to get any food in their stores. Worst in 40 years. We're battling ice conditions we haven't seen in 30 years, says Minister Steve Crocker, who's not full of a crock. These are the facts. The new ferry in the Strait of Belle Isle doesn't have the same horsepower as the old Apollo. So even with an icebreaker, it's risky to travel this year's ice because it's epic, says the Canadian Coast Guard. I thought all the ice in the Arctic melted. This is nowhere near there. Way south of the Arctic. This is way south of the North Pole. This is in the Arctic, but are you kidding me? Is CNN reporting on that? Never. They're not allowed. Just like they're not allowed to report on this. California Brain Tumor Association issues warning on the dangers of 5G. Get out of town. Get out of Dodge. You need to get out of these cities. It's end game. Your vote doesn't matter. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. It's a game. They want you to fight. It is an ongoing game. Are you getting it? Stop putting that phone to your head and stop keeping it in your pocket. Can you imagine a tumor growing out of the side of your hip? So it'd be a trip. Assault rifles to be banned in New Zealand. False flag? Much? Holy, it's happening. They took our guns. They took our jobs. Bah. Massive voltages in thunderclouds can slow down subatomic particles and fry the grid. The ancients knew. They watched it. You're going to watch it. Are you prepared? If you live in a city and you're not ready to get out, good God. Mind-boggling experiment suggests multiple realities can exist at the same time. I hope you're with me and you're in that, not in that. I hope physicists flip the D on the tomahawk, get unexpectedly good results. They're now pressurizing. Yes. Is this free energy? Yeah, it's cold fusion. Holy sh! I hope they don't turn it on while he's in there. That would be a boom. Hope you got something out of the video. Cutting edge science is growing. Free energy is near. The end is near too. We'll have a wake-up call March 23rd as 2 C flares head towards Earth. Glancing blows, but they will test the grid. And just like I predicted, this will not be a major event. We're going to watch it unfold slowly. As chaos spreads, global unrest, crops fail, prices spike, markets fail. You need to be preparing now. All of your pennies, all of your dollars. Getting ready for things that can happen. You need a generator. You need backup food. Those are minimum. Get going. We love you. Be safe. And for the snowflakes that we tweaked last night, I'm glad you unsubscribed. You are not worthy.